So welcome, folks. This is Kim Perez-Holtz, Director of Marketing and Outreach Relations at the College of Engineering. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here this morning with our partner, Boeing, and this is from El Segundo. They're here to present some amazing opportunities they have for our students with regards to career and next steps. So I'm going to pass it on to their team, and we'll have about an hour, plenty of time for engagement, questions and answers, and follow-up with the Boeing team. So I will leave it to Karina and her staff.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is Karina Quintana with the Boeing Company. I should be sharing my screen right now. So we have some PowerPoint charts with a general overview about Boeing and specific requisitions within our digital signal processing team. I'm joined today by a few members, so I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Hey, my name is Mike Pratt, DSP Algorithms Manager here. Oh, and Tim's not listed on this, but...
Tim Kaler, Senior Manager, DSP Algorithms.
My name is Arash Lalazari. I'm a DSP Subsystem Manager group, and that's it. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see you here.
Welcome. Again, my name is Karina. I'm one of the digital signal processing subsystem engineers on Arash's team. And again, we're all located out of El Segundo, California. So we'll spend about the next hour or so just sharing some information about Boeing, our open job requisites, and answering any questions you may have about our culture here. So we'll start off with a video. Hopefully you can hear the audio. I don't hear it either. I'm not. I'll just let it play.
Some really inspiring speech.
Actually, the music is really good.
Not the text.
Okay, we actually just hear your audio, but not the video audio.
Oh, you don't see the video?
No, they see it. They don't hear the audio. We don't hear it either.
We don't hear it either. Don't worry.
It's always hard to get that kind of thing.
We're not used to Zoom. We usually operate on WebEx. That's why.
No problem. We can definitely do this on WebEx next time if easier.
Okay.
Okay, so to help you understand a little bit about what Boeing is about, we'll cover our global presence and services. So in 2020, Boeing had over $58 billion in revenues. We support products and services to customers in over 150 countries and have contracts with more than 12,000 suppliers globally. At the 2020 point, we had more than 140,000 employees in over 65 countries. So this chart covers a little bit about our three major business units. Boeing has a big sector in commercial airplanes, which includes the 7 Series family across the industry. Here in El Segundo, we're predominantly under the Boeing Defense, Space and Security, or BDS business unit, which is one of the largest defense contractors and service provider to NASA. And then Boeing recently stood up BGS, or Boeing Global Services, which is focused on global commercial defense and space customers. So we'll focus a little bit on BDS, since that's what we support here in El Segundo. This business unit is headquartered in Arlington, Virginia, and it was formed back in 2002 to integrate Boeing's defense, space, intelligence, and communications capabilities. So our focus markets include military rotorcraft, commercial derivatives, human space exploration, satellites, and autonomous systems. And we're made up of approximately 15,000 employees. So over on the right hand, you see 3 photos. The top one is one of Boeing's latest products, the MQ-25, which is an unmanned aerial refueling system for the U.S. Navy to support the F-18 fleet. In the middle, you have the Commercial Space Transport, or CST-100, also known as the Starliner spacecraft, which is built in collaboration with NASA, and its purpose is to help carry astronauts up to the International Space Station, or ISS. And then on the bottom, you have one of the El Segundo products, the Wideband Global SATCOM, or WGS Block 2, which currently is the highest capacity military communication system for the DoD. So diversity and inclusion is part of what contributes to our company's success. Boeing has over 200 external technical affiliations, ETAs, for professionals. So at a university level, you may be familiar with some of these organizations, such as the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, SHIP, NSBE, IEEE. So Boeing supports membership in these professional organizations for all of our employees. Boeing also offers resource groups, which are employee-led associations that help enhance professional and personal development. And then Boeing partners with educational institutions to help increase diversity and inclusion within our workforce. So a core of our business is maintaining sustainable aerospace, doing that across our people, the products and services we provide, our operations having achieved net zero carbon emissions at our work sites and while on travel, and then through our communities by helping to donate through different investments and community partners worldwide. So this next chart just goes into a little bit about how we support our communities through investments, innovations, and inspiring the workforce. Boeing supports different programs that align with our values and focusing on opportunities that help empower employees. So Boeing invested more than $234 million and 250,000 volunteer hours in 2020. Inspiring the next generation of STEM is a big part of that. So there's an estimate of more than 3.7 million young women in STEM. We have veterans programs. So Boeing has donated over $41 million since 2017 to those. And then investing in continuous education is also a big part. So here I'd like to foot stomp on some of our skills and career growth opportunities, because we do get a lot of questions related to this during recruitment or interviews. Boeing has a nationally recognized program for continuous education called the Learning Together program, or LTP. So approximately 13,000 employees have benefited from tuition assistance every year. And the company has basically 100% funding for eligible STEM degrees, which is a great benefit. We also offer a lot of training through degree.com, which allows 24/7 access to a lot of online courses. And then mentorship is also an important pillar, having senior level engineers provide coaching and also best practices. Okay, so this last chart just provides an overview of Boeing's Total Rewards program, which is the full benefits package that's offered to employees. So obviously you have your compensation, which includes salary, but there's also other incentive and recognition opportunities for cash awards, or what we call pride points that can be cashed out. Boeing also focuses on having a good work-life balance, so supporting employees during their family or personal endeavors. Healthcare, we offer medical, dental, prescription, and vision coverage for employees and eligible family members. and then financial security through a very competitive 401k plan. So again, in terms of career growth, continuous education through something like a master's degree is supported, and the company fully covers STEM-related programs, or employees can pursue online classes or specific training courses within their specific roles. And then we also offer paid time off, and then the company matches donations or time during volunteer work. So these are the big ticket items for our Total Rewards program. So the next section is related to our specific career opportunities within the Boeing El Segundo group. So I'll let Arash, Tim, and Mike talk to some of the digital signal processing algorithms and subsystems requisitions that we have open.
Sure, we have kind of two areas here where we do our DSP development, and one of them is the algorithms group that you see on the left, and the other is the subsystems on the right. And I can speak to the algorithm side that we are typically designing signal processing applications that are going to go on FPGAs or ASICs. And sometimes we do other types of analysis that aren't targeted to those specific hardwares, but that's really our primary function and the type of stuff that we do on a daily basis. And we support a lot of different applications. We work primarily here in space and launch, so most of our end products are satellite unit developments that we would have for either communications, we do some radar processing, other types of signal processing, and we also have supported other organizations throughout Boeing. Earlier, Karina had talked about the ISS. We actually had a team that upgraded the modem link, the downlink from the ISS to the ground that enabled them to kind of double their data rate without having to update any of their hardware. So that was a pretty exciting task that some people on our team have done in the last couple of years. We also support the missile and weapon systems group pretty heavily. Right now we have some people working on a upgrade to the Patriot missile seeker system and have several engineers working on that. So a lot of different kind of diverse end applications doing signal processing work. I'm a little biased. I think it's the most fun part of electrical engineering, but that's the kind of stuff that we do, and it's new every day. I've been here 20 years and still learning stuff every single day. So a lot of fun opportunities.
Okay. My name is Arash. As I mentioned, I manage part of the subsystem engineering group. What my group is responsible for is working on the digital signal processing and comm, but we work at the high level and lower level. Higher level in a way that we work with the system engineering and payload system engineering, and based on that, we drive the requirements that drives the algorithm, DSP algorithm team. We define those requirements. We also do trade study and link budget, etc., to make sure that the requirements that we flow down to our algo team is real and it can be achieved. Once the algorithm team has done their design and done their verification, we continue on with that. We continue with the unit testing, level testing, and verification, and again further analysis and we will make sure that the product is delivered to the customer with what it was intended to be. A lot of hands-on work in my group where it's not only specifically algorithm development that you do or one does. You could work with the algorithm. You could work with the software. Actually, you work real time in the lab with the hardware. If you're interested more hands-on, working with the software-defined radios or different modems or different Xilinx FPGAs. We're working on the latest and latest and greatest Xilinx FPGAs on Versal, for instance, or Zinc processors. We utilize the ARM core processors in there along with the DSP design that we do with the FPGA. So there are different, our subsystem group supports different area. Like if you want to work on a requirement flow and understanding the requirement flow and just do analysis, you could work on that. If you want to work with the hands-on, real lab and, test out what you could do or what you actually produce, you could do that. And our team actually, some of us go all the way to in-orbit testing if they want to. So they have that option. However, we do work very closely with DSP algorithm engineers. If people in our group they're interested in working on algorithm group, we provide them with that opportunity to work with the algorithm group. And the same thing with the algorithm group. If you join algorithm group later on, if you decide that hey, I want to do some subsystem engineering work, we provide that means for you to come in and work in a subsystem group. So it's not like if you join one group, you're stuck with that the rest of your career or working at Boeing. We provide a lot of opportunities. There are some preferred qualifications which are listed here. Obviously, we are interested in people that they have signal processing knowledge, basic knowledge and understanding. My main criteria actually is like we're more interested in people who are self-starter, go-getters, and motivated. We have actually some very good people from your school, and that's why we're reaching out, to you guys, because we know your school is teaching you the right stuff. The people who are working here, there are some of the people from your school are leading the programs or leading different areas of the company. And so it's a great opportunity for you guys to, apply and, join us. So we do have some recs open. You could check them out. However, don't limit yourself to these recs. We provide our phone number and email. If there is something that you see that you could do more or less, you could be more experienced or you could be less experienced. Give me a call or give us a call, or email us, and we'll be happy to talk to you. And if we find you to be the right person, we create a new rec for you to apply and interview. So we just put in this, 2 recs open for you. You could check it out. If you have some more questions or you want to apply to something, again, in a DSP and communication area, if you want to apply to something different that we don't see it, definitely give us a call. Or if you're trying to apply to any of these recs and you have a problem, difficulty, like either it shows like the rec is not valid, that could happen because each one of these recs, they have a date which they expire. Please call us and get in touch with us, and we can help you with that.
As a clarification, since you have the 2 recs there, usually if you're kind of just completing your bachelor's degree, then you would apply to the entry-level position. If you're about to finish a master's degree, then the associate position would be more
Thank you.
Applicable.
Yeah. So with that, we open the questions for any floor. We open the floor for any questions that you guys have. So if we can help you with answering any of them.
Hopefully we didn't lose everybody.
Seems like most people are muted. Let me check the chat box.
Because we actually have a small group, let's go around and actually have our students introduce themselves. I'd love to hear who we have. So it looks like we have 4 students, and of course we'll be sending out this recording to everybody else who couldn't make it live. But let's start with Nanami. Could you tell us just a little bit about yourself, your year, your program, and your interest in Boeing?
Yeah, of course. My name is Nanami, and I'm actually a graduating senior here from the Department of Information and Computer Sciences. I'm a computer science major. For the last 2 years, I've been working as a junior engineer over at Johnny Burns School of Medicine. My interest in Boeing actually comes from myself doing 2 NASA projects. And I was part of the NASA Space Academy 1, where we did creating landers and rovers for theoretical missions to Mars, where I was pretty much faced with kind of creating some sort of algorithmic structures for what we would put on landers and rovers, or what we would put on aircraft. That was a really great experience for me. And then I also was part of the second team where I was the team leader there, and I did a lot of proposal writing for mission funding and government funding and stuff like that to fund actually the second mission back to the moon. So that was before NASA had actually told the entire world. We had actually known about it before, which was really, really cool. So that definitely sparked my interest in Boeing. And I am actually relocating to Seattle, Washington in August, which is pretty much the home of Boeing. So I definitely have a lot of interest in kind of pursuing Boeing positions. And I have had a really deep love for Boeing's engineering-based culture for a long time.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I just didn't answer. So you are starting with Boeing in August, you said? You're moving to Seattle, starting with Boeing in August?
No. I'm moving to Seattle, Washington, but I'm interested in pursuing careers with Boeing.
Oh, okay, awesome. If you decide to actually move to Los Angeles, definitely give us a call. We could definitely, help you out with this. As I said, the Boeing Washington, mostly, from my understanding, is on Boeing. It's called BCA, Commercial Airlines. Where, as Karina explained, most of our work here is related to the defense and NASA and space related work.
They do have a little bit up in Kent, Washington.
Yeah, as I said, about 70-80% is that. There's a little bit of it in Kent. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Sure.
I guess I'm next. My name, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. My name is Grayson, and I'm a junior in mechanical engineering. And I actually grew up in Seattle, Washington, and we had a family in Kent. So we would drive by Boeing, and I would see Boeing pretty much every day of my life. And so that's what really inspired me. It was like subliminal messaging in a way as a child. And I grew up to become an engineer. And now that I'm coming out at the end of my semester, my end of my college career, I'm interested in applying to Boeing. So that's why I'm here attending the session to see what information I can gain that can be helpful in pursuing a career interest in Boeing.
Thank you for joining.
All right, Joshua.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
So my name is Josh Lamb. I also grew up in the Seattle area, and I'm also mechanical. I'm graduating this year. I'm a senior in engineering. Same thing where Boeing was always like, oh, so my teachers in high school that were graduates or graduates from Boeing, stuff like that. It was always around this little messaging of, yeah, I should apply at Boeing. That was always really important. And yeah, I just wanted to get some more information, maybe figure out if I should extend that down to that area.
I think we're suffering some audio problems.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you have another mic, Josh, you can select or.
It's not. Hello?
Yeah,
much better.
Sorry. But yeah, that was, I don't know where if it might have cut me off, but I just wanted to extend my feelers down to the Boeing team down in LA and see if it was worth applying to.
So I'm sorry, what was your undergrad in?
Oh, I see. Sorry about that. I'm gonna be. Yeah, okay. I'm a senior in mechanical engineering, and I'll be graduating this May, I guess.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. And it looks like we just had a couple more students hop on. So welcome everybody. We're just doing a round of introductions. If you are able to turn your camera on, that's great. If not, no worries. But let's see, Darren, would you mind just introducing yourself, your program, your year, and your interest in Boeing?
I'm Darren. Hello, I'm
Darren.
I'm a senior in mechanical engineering, and I just came by to see what Boeing had to offer for new graduates.
Perfect. Thank you. And Jackson.
Hello, good morning. My name is Jackson. I'm a senior in the mechanical engineering department. I'm also in the BAM program pursuing a master's in mechanical engineering as well on the accelerated track. And I wanted to come to this meeting just to see, because I've talked to some Boeing representatives in previous career fairs too, and have always expressed some interest. So I want to see what other opportunities may or may not still be out there.
Perfect. Thanks, Jackson. Maya, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Hi, my name's Maya. I joined this meeting because, I'm a senior in mechanical engineering. I plan to graduate in December, and I'm doing the BAM program too to hopefully get my master's in 1 or 2 years. I'm interested in Boeing because they're the biggest aerospace company in the world, and I'm excited to hear what they have to offer.
Excellent, thank you. And John Young, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, your program, your year, and your interest in Boeing.
Sure. I'm Jun Young. I'm a mechanical engineering student. I'm a junior, become a senior next semester. So I know this meeting doesn't really apply to me. I just was always interested in aerospace. I just thought I'd check it out.
Excellent, thank you. And actually, this is open to students of all years. I think the earlier the better to be educated and informed, right, and learn about opportunities. So thanks for joining. Yeah. And then lastly, we have Hugh. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
I'm a sophomore and mostly came in here just to check it out. I'm also interested in aerospace, primarily things like robotics and satellites. So thought I might check it out.
Great, thank you. And are you an ME student, or what, did you declare your major yet?
Oh yeah, I'm a mechanical engineering student.
That's great, thanks. Well, I think at this point, I'll leave it to the Boeing team, but our forum is pretty much open for Q&A to talk about anything you guys would like to hear.
Yes, definitely. Does anyone in the group have specific questions on the Boeing overview we gave, or the requisitions that Tim and Arash talked to on the digital signal processing side?
Seems like a lot of actually every single person in the meeting is a mechanical engineer.
I think there's one CS, yeah.
Oh, and CS as well. Oh, we do, of course, have mechanical engineering positions around here, just not with the two teams that we are. But of course, we can answer any questions about the Boeing campus here in El Segundo. Boeing as a whole, sure, but also just the Boeing campus in El Segundo. Obviously, there is a mechanical engineering related positions around here. So if you have any questions about moving to El Segundo, moving to LA, I didn't think anybody said they were already in Los Angeles, but if there's any questions about the area, we could definitely help there.
Yeah, at least a few of us are transplants, so we can give you that perspective.
I do have a question. When I was speaking with Raytheon representatives, they said to apply 3 months in advance due to security clearances. Does that apply to Boeing as well?
So we have, our positions all require the ability to obtain a security clearance, and so you need to be a U.S. citizen for that. We depending on the business environment, we sometimes need to have people who already hold a clearance. Other times, especially when we're going out to colleges, we don't expect that people are going to have a clearance right out the gate. So we do have work that we operate on unclassified. In fact, we actually have a pretty significant amount of our stuff right now does not require an immediate clearance. And so we usually like to get people in the clearance process, but it's not, at least these two positions right now are not, it's not a requirement to have that before you start. But for what it's worth, lately, we have had a couple of new hires that we have a guy coming in 2 weeks, and I'd put him in for a request for a secret clearance, and he's got an interim like after a month, before he even has started. So, so that can happen sometimes.
Would you recommend applying, so like, let's say for the seniors who are about to graduate, would it have been beneficial to apply a month before they graduate? So by the time they have a degree, they would have the security clearance already?
I would probably recommend, applying as soon as you find a position that interests you. And, oftentimes we might even be hiring months in advance, because we understand people have a graduation date. That's kind of a hard deadline, and you can't start before that. So, so I would say, as soon as you find something that you're interested in, go ahead and apply.
So that would be any time during their senior year, correct?
Yeah, usually towards probably like the last half of the year. We usually anticipate that students are gonna be looking for jobs, anytime in their senior year usually, or if they're a master's candidate as they get closer to that degree. But usually I would say probably 5 or 6 months prior to graduation is probably a good time to be looking, and that's about the time when we we'll be looking for candidates as well. But we're also looking now, so.
What,
I know you mentioned that. Go ahead, Maya.
What specific field are the candidates that you're looking for now? I heard you say that you're not in for the mechanical engineers. Is there two different positions that are available? Thank you.
Yeah. So the position that the two that we have here are both related to signal processing. So what we found is almost always that will be someone who has either electrical engineering background or possibly computer engineering. It's not completely out of the question to find people who have this background in other degree areas, but I would say 95% of the time it's going to be one of those two degrees. Boeing as a larger company, even and on our site, will have a great number of different positions that are available, and our organization just happens to sit in this digital communications group, and so so our familiarity with some of the more mechanically oriented areas is a little bit lacking, but I would definitely encourage you can poke around on on that Boeing.com careers website and just kind of do a search for what you're interested in, and again, like we mentioned before, there's a lot of opportunities here in El Segundo, but Boeing is a kind of a worldwide company, so there are positions all throughout the United States, definitely.
And I'd encourage everyone to go to that Boeing.com career site. You can set up a profile with your resume and then your work or project history, which kind of helps pre-start the application process if you build your profile. And then if you're on social media as well, a lot of times Boeing will do local career fairs or job recruitment events, and they post about those on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So if you're on social media, we have career news posted across the board.
What would these projects count as? Is it like things that you would make, like, or is it have to be some kind of actual project, like a competition or something sponsored
What I
by
remember
the
from what I remember from the careers profile from my last job application, which was over a year ago, is there's just an experience section. So depending on how you want to represent that, whether it's an actual internship you may have had at a certain company, or different competitions, or projects that were assigned through school, you can capture that as relevant experience related to the job requisition. So if we go back to this slide, here we listed the preferred qualifications, and there's certain tools or skill sets that we're looking for. So you may have acquired those through working on different projects. So I don't think there's a clear-cut definition on what those projects mean, but in your profile, you would basically fill out your experience, your education, and any relevant work history. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What is scripting and test execution is programming, right?
Correct. That would be like if you're writing Python, Tcl, or C programs to execute certain, test events.
Oh, hey, okay, yeah, okay.
Any other questions?
I've got a general one for just Boeing as a whole, if that's all right.
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm actually personally interested in sustainability through like clean and alternative energy. Is there anything that Boeing has been working on to sort of, I guess, transition to, I guess, more sustainable fuels, or maybe more energy efficient aircraft or whatnot?
Yeah, so there is, I believe, and you could do your own research because we're not part of that. There's an area in BCA or Boeing Commercial Airline, which they are actively working on biofuel, type of, research, and they actually are partnered with some airlines which they do that. So there are areas of Boeing which they work on that, correct. Are there jobs available? You need to do that research on that career, Boeing.com career, and then find out if you find something there. Yeah, there might be opportunities.
This is sort of tangentially related, but because our satellites require solar power to keep them operating in orbit, we actually have a subsidiary called Spectra Lab, which makes really cutting edge high efficiency solar panels, and they're primarily designed for satellite end products, but I believe I've heard that they are applying that technology, the higher efficiency solar panels, to the broader industry. So that's another area that is somewhat related.
Thank you.
Sure.
I know we have a number of students who are either pursuing a graduate degree or are thinking of pursuing a graduate degree here. So I know, and you mentioned you have that wonderful tuition assistance program. How does that typically work schedule-wise with employees who are continuing their schooling? Are they doing both at the same time? Are they going part-time, or are they taking a break, focusing on school and coming back?
I would say it's typically what I've seen is it's people who are going to be working full-time and they take, off schedule courses. And usually what I've seen is someone who's, say, right out of school with a bachelor's degree, and they go back to school to get a master's degree. They're going to be taking probably 1 or 2 courses per semester or trimester, and they do that, and it takes about, I think, 3 years to get a master's degree if you do it that way. So, my own personal suggestion to people is if you're contemplating a master's degree and you're not sick of school yet, you might want to just go ahead and do it, and then come work afterwards. But if you're kind of like, hey, I'm really itching to get out in the workplace, realize that Boeing does have one of the most generous educational programs available. You can pretty much take any kind of course like that, and they'll cover the cost. You have to cover your own time. It has to be done off hours, but you'll have all the tuition and books and things paid for.
And I agree with what Tim just said. I guess when I was in college, I joined Boeing as an intern in 2015, so I had a summer's worth of experience getting to know how the company operates and, supporting great products. So I was itching to return back as a full-time employee right after graduating with my bachelor's. So I didn't go the route of continuing with grad school right after. And I guess it's a trade-off, right? You get busier with work as time goes on, but Boeing does have great opportunities, and the tuition assistance is, it makes it enticing to go back to school, even if you're doing it on a part-time basis. So there's a lot of people that we work with here in El Segundo that are doing both, working full-time and doing school part-time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just say that we've had several employees in my own group and in other adjacent groups that have done just that and have gotten their master's degrees, after a few years. Usually they'll take them locally here from like UCLA or USC, but you can take them as long as the school provides, remote learning. You can do it from any accredited university.
And then the Learning Together program also covers certificates through certain partner schools. So I did one last year through MIT in the systems engineering certificate, and that was only a 6-month commitment. So there's other options as well if you don't want to go back to school as a degree-seeking master's student. Boeing will support those as well, certificates and other training opportunities.
So this would mean that I could just become like a systems engineer if I get a certificate for it, if I have a mechanical engineering degree already? Or is that not how it works?
So you mean, so you could work on as a system engineer, start like preliminary system engineer. By getting a certificate doesn't make you automatically a system engineer, okay? It's just the type of work and understanding that you have from the system and breaks down and flow down the system requirement. That's what makes you a system engineer. Do you follow what I'm saying? So it takes experience and it takes some exposure to system engineering to become a good system engineer, not just a certificate alone.
Okay.
Yeah, often there will be these supplementary courses. Like I took one many years ago. That was, the Caltech programs. They have like a system of systems course, and you go for 3 or 4 hours a night, once or twice a week for several weeks, and so those type of certifications are really more. It's really just more for your intellectual exploratory exercise. You want to learn more about that topic. It's not as thorough as a degree program. But sometimes there's just, interesting topics that'll come along that you can, can work through. And, if you were to pay them out of pocket, it would cost maybe several $1,000s, but Boeing will typically cover those.
What if say a university that I'm in doesn't offer systems engineering? I mean, I'm pretty sure from what I saw that systems engineering wasn't available for University of Hawaii.
So with Boeing program, any college, as long as it's accredited college, is acceptable. Given that you meet your working condition, like meaning that you do your 40 hours and the topic that you're taking, let's say if you're working as a system engineer and you're taking classes system engineer, they're related, okay? Does that answer the question?
Let me put it another way. Systems engineering isn't a major at any college, I don't think.
There are some colleges that have. Yeah.
Oh.
There are some colleges that have. Let me.
You don't need a systems engineering degree.
So let me tell you from someone I've been working as an engineer for 28 years. Okay, and for me, system engineering didn't start until like 15 years into my career. Why? Because I started out working with the little units, boards, smaller units and components to understand what is the big picture made of. And then once I look at the big picture, then I can break it down into smaller subsystem and unit level, requirements or understand what the system engineering is about. That was me. I mean, maybe some people, they can pick up system engineering right there. But my own experience has been that you need exposure to the whole system and understanding of different components of the system and subsystem in order to be a good system engineer.
And this would mean working on projects, anything that you have really, and seeing how, and then inserting yourself as like a systems engineer for that project, and then getting experience.
Correct. I mean, yeah, that's correct. Everyone at their own level. Like for instance, if you're working on a project, you'll get definitely you get an exposure with the requirements, how the requirements were flowed down, what it meant to the system, what it meant to the subsystem, what it meant to the smaller compartments of that subsystem.
By the way, systems engineering is a very overloaded term in the general industry.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, if you just type in systems engineering into like LinkedIn or something, you'll find a lot of other jobs that are not at all what this systems engineering kind of job is. So just be aware of that. Systems engineering is a very vague term because everything is a system.
So the system engineering which applies to at least our group is this. I'll give you a scenario so you have an understanding in your head what we do at least. And as Mike put it in, every industry, every group does treat it differently. For instance, a customer, let's say since we're in the defense industry and the Army or the Air Force comes to us and say, I need you to design a satellite with this criteria and these requirements. So what it means, a system engineer means to have to break down, separate these requirements to say what part of this requirement applies to the vehicle, space vehicle itself, what part of it applies to the actual mission payload, and separate those requirements out and define what that means to each one of them. And when you go in, for instance, on the mission payload, then you have to break it down even further to say, hey, you know what? If I'm building a payload with these requirements, what are the different subsystems I'm going to have in order to, when I integrate all of them together, to come up with that, requirements that meets all the payload system engineering. And it goes further and further down, and it flows down all the way, I would say, to component level. Okay, you follow?
Yeah.
Maya, did you have another question?
From your experience, have you seen new applicants who are applying when they already received their master's degree have an easier time when they start working, or have you noticed any benefits of the master's degree in mechanical engineering in the workplace?
All right. So I can only speak to you about the electrical engineers that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. Not familiar with the mechanical. I'm not sure what mechanical master's is. And from someone who has the master's, I have both masters and my MBA, throughout the years. I think it all depends on the person. We have had people with no master's program, which they understand and they perform so well. And I can tell you, there are people I have in my group that they themselves can go and teach at school master's program. I had those, okay? And I'll tell you the other side of the spectrum. I have people who, not to a lot, I have few individuals which they have their PhDs from one of the most prestigious schools in the US, okay, from UC Berkeley or MIT, and they don't produce as much as, let's say, someone who just started working here at Boeing, okay? So it depends on the person. It depends on your motivation, your drive, how much you want to learn, how much you want to go after it.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left, so probably have room for one or two more questions, if there are any.
I had a question kind of in the same talk when we were talking about the certifications and everything. Is there a strong emphasis on if applicants with, say, an FE or an EIT, do they have like a higher chance or success rate of when they apply, I should say? Or is that something that's not really prioritized?
Yeah, he's talking about the fundamentals of engineering or the professional engineering exam.
Oh,
I did the FE exam when I graduated. I got the FE, and then I think you're supposed to wait 5 years and then do the PE after that. But I don't think anyone. Well, it's more of a
mechanical and civil engineer.
Yeah, it's really more mechanical.
Actually, civil engineers in California, at least I can tell you with California, civil engineers in California are, if they're working for city and state, they are required to have that in order to operate, even if they are trying to, they don't even work, they have their own business and they're doing some sort of, planning or construction, they actually need to have that. For mechanical, I'm not sure, so you need to do your own research on that. For electrical, it hasn't been, I wouldn't say, as a hiring manager, I wouldn't, put a strong emphasis on it to say, oh, this guy has PE or, and therefore we should definitely hire him. Again, it goes back to you. When we interview people, or at least when I interview people, I look for drive and motivation and go-getterness and the basic fundamental knowledge of that person, okay? If I find that person, as I said, we had people, good applicants, we had applicants which they have pages and pages of resume, but they really, when we talk to them, we find out they really don't understand the underneath and the knowledge, and they don't seem to be going, they're the type who actually follow through and go, and initiate things. Those are the things that are important. Those are the things that we look for. At least I look for that. I personally put less of emphasis if you have, PE or not. I must say, salary-wise, obviously masters do matter. okay, if you have a master's program, I'm not talking about PE here, because, you know, if you have master's, you apply to a higher level. That's why we have 2 regs, okay, than bachelor. But, you know, as far as the personal achievement and goal, can you be, you know, one of the top people here without having masters? Absolutely. I have people like that. Karina here is one of them that she's talking to you guys. And I have another person who is actually, I'm telling you, I'm not kidding, if he can go and teach a call, you know, he can teach, John, you know, he can actually teach the, you know, the whole master's program without, you know, even, and he doesn't even have a master's.
I will say one last thing that we didn't really touch upon yet. For any job requisition that you applied to within Boeing, whether it's within our DSP group or a mechanical job, Boeing has a behavioral interview format. There may be probing questions that are more technical, but for the most part, the goal is to see how you identify a situation or task, talk about the actions you took to resolve that issue, and then overall summary of the results that you achieved. So really practicing the behavioral interview format is important. And then as you apply to jobs, you know, you'll hopefully qualify for interviews and get some of that practice. But some of the points Arash was talking to about, you know, having a passion and showing a good attitude, problem-solving skills, that comes through in the behavioral interview process. So something to consider in your job application process altogether. All right, Kim, I think we're good on our end. I'll hand it back to you. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone in attendance for participating in this info session, and we can provide Kim with a copy of the slides for folks who see the recording or who want to follow up on some of the info we presented.
Yeah, and if you know any of your friends or, you know, I understand we have more of the mechanical engineering forum here, but if you know any of your friends who are interested in the signal processing or electrical engineering, do pass, please, our phone number, contact number. You know, we have some, not a lot actually, we have some positions which they're filling up fast, but it's a great place to work here. I've been in the industry, as I said, for 28 years. Last 22 of it, I've been here. I work at various different places, but this place definitely is a place to work and learn and explore.
Well, thank you so much. It's been our privilege to have our friends at Boeing and El Segundo here this morning. I think we really appreciate being out in Hawaii and definitely being on your radar and included in your recruiting plans and processes. And I know our students who were at Career Expo in February, the Boeing table was one of the most popular tables in the expo. So we look forward to more continued partnership. Students, if you have any specific questions or want to get in contact with this team, you can feel free to email me and I will forward the information in your message to Karina and her team. And otherwise, we look forward to connecting with our friends at Boeing in the fall. And thank you, students, for attending. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.